Today I will be running down a 2008 war action drama film titled Awoman in Berlin. In the waning days of the Second World War, an assortment of women, children, and elderly men struggled to survive the invasion of Berlin by the Soviet troops. The protagonist of this movie is a lady whose name is never disclosed. So we'll name her Anonima. Anonima is a journalist who has visited 12 European countries and can fluently speak multiple foreign languages. She's the wife of one of the German soldiers, Gerd, who bids her farewell and heads to the front lines in Siberia. Like other Germans, she goes out to parties every evening. Everything looks normal, making Anonima and other women believe that their country will win the war. But they're unaware that the Soviet forces have just overran and encircled the entire city of Berlin. An explosion from the Red Army abruptly put an end to their celebrations. Thus, all the women, children, and elderly men ran to save their lives by taking cover in the underground bunkers. The German soldiers who are still alive are ordered to surrender by the Soviet army. But the Germans make the stupid decision to put up a final fight rather than giving up. Nevertheless, they ultimately failed to stop the Soviet forces from capturing the city. Major Andrei, the high-ranking officer and commander of the battalion, is suddenly given new orders to remain there for some time and not proceed toward the Reichstag or government offices. Andrei finds it difficult to deal with the resistance of his subordinates, saying they are prepared to eliminate the remaining SS soldiers from the city. But he eventually calms them down and reminds them to follow the orders. Shortly after, the Soviet soldiers go into the bunker, looking for German women to serve them. All the females look exhausted, hungry, and frightened. To stop the women from being disgraced in front of kids, Anonima diverts their attention by speaking Russian. The soldiers get into believing that she's of Russian ancestry, so they call her to join them and offer her some food. Anonima and her friends emerge from hiding in order to obtain potatoes from outside. Just after returning to the bunker, a soldier goes back searching for women to sate his appetite. Anonima becomes sympathetic to the old woman. She makes an effort to assist her by begging the soldier to stop it. However, the old woman runs and leaves Anonima back. She also locks the shelter's door to trap her with a Soviet soldier inside. Anonima becomes creative and remains composed. She then deceives him by claiming to know the perfect place for this. Then the soldier relentlessly follows her from behind, but when the opportunity presents itself, the girl escapes and traps him in the compartment. In her desperate quest for survival, Anonima decides to look for an officer who can protect her, but nobody seems to be concerned about her complaints, not even Major Andrei, who tells her that his guys are doing well, meaning they don't need her services. Feeling hopeless, Anonima aimlessly walks back to the subterranean sanctuary. However, the Soviet soldier who had attempted to take advantage of her in the bunker abruptly finds her again. Anonima puts up a fierce fight, but ultimately gives in to his dominance. Moments later, despite the apartment having some minor explosion damage, an elderly woman allows Anonima and a young girl to stay there until they find a better place to live. But she's unaware that there is a young German soldier who refused to go to Siberia, and the girl has been hiding him at the apartment's top level for days. Later in the evening, when the Soviet soldiers started to enter the apartment, all of the women became scared and ran in an attempt to save themselves. But Anonima believes that running away is pointless, so she would rather stay there since she is powerless and they must comply with the orders of the Soviet soldiers to survive the occupation. The Germans are at their most helpless point and can only give in as the Russian soldiers alternately take advantage of them. Moments later, Anonima decides to control her fate after the torture she has endured, so she chooses to approach senior officers in order to secure protection from them. At least then, the junior soldiers won't be able to touch her anymore. She then goes to Major Andrei, the top commander. The girl discloses to Major Andrei all the mistreatment German women have endured from the Soviet soldiers. However, he distorts the actual facts by claiming that SS soldiers also mistreated Russian women far worse during their invasion. They even killed his wife. For what they did, these actions are a fitting kind of retaliation. The Supreme Commander disappoints the girl once again, but Anonima persists and intends to speak with other ranked soldiers. At last, she approaches a Ukrainian lieutenant named Anatol for assistance. However, Anatol just tells her that she must serve him first if she needs protection. The girl welcomes his offer because, at least, she won't have to endure more torture from junior soldiers. Anatol extends an invitation to Anonima, but later she's supposed to make herself up to the task. Major Andrei visits the apartment where Anonima stays with old women the following day, but she ignores him because he previously showed no interest in the grievances she voiced. When she continues to avoid him, Andrei opens her room door because she believes Andrea merely wants to take advantage of the situation, like his troops. So she quickly took the bolt. However, Andrei decides to walk outside silently. At a certain point, the major feels touched about what his soldiers have done to German women. Since Anatole only counts and goes on to misuse his position, Anonyma grows frustrated due to the constant imposition of their actions. One night, the young SS soldier hiding upstairs is growing impatient with the situation and intends to steal food from the Soviet army rather than starve. Despite the fact that it's a suicidal mission, he moves outside to meet his fate. Just a few minutes later, Anonyma receives an invitation to Major Andrei's and his officer's small party since she speaks Russian. The top commander starts to become interested in this woman because of the way she carefully chooses her words, but the commotion outside the apartment abruptly puts an end to their celebration. The soldier informs them that he has seen an armed German soldier running away with their food. He is also certain that the German soldier must be hiding on the apartment's top floor. When Major Andrei questions all the women, Anonyma vehemently disputes the claim that there is just one woman and that she has never seen a German soldier in their apartment. The soldier believes Anonyma is not telling the truth, but Andrei orders him to stop his accusations of looking for the German soldier. The angered Soviet decides to beat up one of the old men to calm himself down. Andrei strikes his renegade soldier because of his cruel action towards the elderly people of the community. Following the incident, the commander issued a dire warning to all Germans in the apartment that anyone caught carrying a weapon or hiding a German soldier would be executed immediately. Anonyma runs to the room to check on the girl she stays with. She is shocked to find that a young German soldier is actually hiding inside the apartment. Anonyma chooses to say nothing further about this discovery. Major Andrei again visits Anonyma at the apartment, and he finds it impossible to contain his feelings for an educated woman like her. At this point, Anonyma keeps recording everything that happens to her and other women in a journal. The war changes everything, not just the words but even the people. Now all the German women have given up, and they don't care what the Soviet soldiers do to them since each of them has a protector. They even recount how frequently they had done so with the Soviet soldiers, but they vow to remain silent, otherwise, their husbands who are coming back soon from Siberia won't even touch them. Major Andrei is developing a strong feeling for Anonyma, and they're getting closer every day. But on the other hand, she has to attend Anatole's services to fulfill her promise. As a woman, Anonyma expresses her fear of the consequences. She believes the two lions will meet one day and murder each other because of her. The Soviet junior soldier, who is aware of their relationship, approaches Anonyma and advises her to leave her boss alone because the Germans hanged his wife. But Anonyma claps back to her by mentioning that Major Andrei personally approached her. A few days later, the news spread throughout Germany that Hitler had taken his own life in the bunker. The German officer orders all the remaining men to surrender, saying that any attempt to resist the Soviet Union's army will be futile. As the narrator's voice states, on May 2, 1945, our army was ultimately forced to give up, which brought an end to the European war that had been raging for the past 6 years. The Soviet soldiers all became overwhelmed with joy and started to sing their national anthem to celebrate their victory against the wicked Nazi forces. They drink and celebrate until late at night. In the middle of the victory celebrations, one of the Russian soldiers runs through the apartment looking for any German woman to spend the night with. When the soldier finds the young woman hiding a Nazi soldier in her bed, the SS soldier fires his gun. The bullet sound alerts the Soviet soldiers who are partying outside of the apartment. Sadly, the young boy missed his target, so the Russian soldier instantly killed him by throwing him from the top level. The officer has also discovered a grenade hidden in the bedsheets. The girl who has been concealing the Nazi soldier doesn't deny it but curses the Soviets for their invasion. Andrei gives his soldier the order to execute the woman. He then questions everyone who possibly knew about the young woman's actions, but Anonyma maintains their innocence about it. Because he trusts and believes everything she says, he orders them to go back to their respective rooms. However, some of his subordinates disagree with his decision. They want every German in the apartment to be executed because it was an act of resistance against the Soviet Union. They even make threats about reporting his insubordination to the military headquarters, but Andrei doesn't back down and is ready to take it on. The following morning, Major Andrei visits Anonyma to deliver a bicycle as a gift. However, he finds her serving breakfast to Lieutenant Anatole. The girl initially thought that he'd be mad about the situation, but he simply orders Anatole to leave the room right away. Andrei greets Anonyma and shares his feelings with her, and then they share the same bed. Major Andrei tells Anonyma how much he loves her and that he wants to take her to Moscow to be her husband. But Anonyma informs him that she still has a husband and will soon be coming back home. Then Major Andrei angrily decides to part ways with her, but Anonyma abruptly stops him from leaving since she has also developed affection for him. A few days later, Anonyma tries to find the Supreme Commander, but she is unable to locate him. When she comes back to the apartment, she is surprised to see that her husband, Gert, has already come back, standing in the living room waiting for her. The Soviet lieutenant has also been eagerly waiting to deliver Andrei's parting letter. In the note, she learns that Major Andrei was going to be transferred because of the event that happened a few days ago. Anonyma first informs her husband that she has not been sleeping alone in the apartment. She then gives him her journal before instructing him to read it. The diary will tell him about the pain she had to deal with following the Soviet invasion. After reading it, Gert is quite disappointed with her actions and refers to her as a wicked woman. Anonyma, as a good wife to her husband, gives him time, hoping he will understand the predicament she was in his absence. Anonyma runs to meet Major Andrei before his departure. She bids him farewell in a sorrowful display of her emotions. Anonyma held onto Andrei's fingers tightly, foreshadowing the ache of missing him. Anonyma returns home to resume their lives as husband and wife, but a few days later, Gert chooses to part ways without informing her where he is going. Anonyma hopes one day he will speak with his heart, understand and come back to her. When the novel about a woman in Berlin was first published, it caused a big scandal and was indignantly rejected because it was believed to be an insult to German women. The author forbade further book publishing until her death, and even after she passed away, her identity had to remain a secret because of her contempt for her contemporaries. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more of my videos. Have a good day.